Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Conqueror's Blade. So today, Imperial Muskets. So these are I've been kind of meaning to get around to looking at these guys for quite a long time, but I finally got around to actually playing them. Or Imperial Arquebusier is actually not muskets. So I've finally got them a lot, and I've been playing them kind of a fair bit. And yeah, they're really kind of interesting, particularly kind of in the current meta. After a lot of the changes around the more western musket line, around the tercios, with their kind of reduction in range damage to increase in melee attack, it kind of means that the most powerful ranged unit in the game currently are probably these Imperial Arquebusiers. So that kind of makes them an interesting meta, and it's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to check them out, and so I did. And kind of a testament to how much I've really kind of been enjoying these guys. So I've actually put some points in kind of their accuracy. Spent a bit of extra honour because I had a fair bit kicking around, and yeah, it kind of made quite a difference. So I've really been quite enjoying them. I've not quite got them fully elited yet. I'm up to level 16. Still got a bit more to go. Just have kind of an interesting ending veterancy line. Bullets can break enemies' blocking status. Well, from what I've heard, though, it doesn't work in the same way as, say, like the crossbows, which penetrate an enemy's block. This more just drains enemies' stamina, from what I've heard. So I think while it helps, I don't think it's going to be crazy effective. But it's certainly one thing I'm going to get unlocked at some point, and I'll probably end up revisiting these guys some point in the distant future, kind of when I got that unlocked and when a few things change around. So why have I been enjoying these guys? What do I like about them? So as I say, it's that really intense range damage. If we go and have a look at their damage statistics, that piercing damage of 3,200, I mean, is pretty intense. Combine that with an armor piercing of 3,100, it means basically anything it hits, it's going to do almost full damage to. And that includes things like Reapers. So it makes these guys super effective when you start volleyfying at Reapers. The damage you do is really high compared to any of the unit. Whereas if you shoot at them with a unit of archers, your armor piercing value is never really high enough to get much damage on Reapers. You hit for a couple of hundred, whereas these guys hit Reapers for thousands, and that's a real difference. Combine onto that, they get this volley fire ability. So the unit sort of forms like 3 ranks. First one kneels, and they just fire in waves. It's fine, they don't fire necessarily particularly quicker or anything special like that, but they do hit a lot harder. If I can actually find here, so you get, what's that, late 16, 24% increase in damage by using the volley fire there, and there's a cooldown to it as well. So it means that your volley fire, you're hitting 3,000 base. Your volley fire, you can start to get sort of 4,000, 5,000. When you start critting, you can get high 5,000s against units. And that can almost, if not one shot stuff, it's almost like two hit kills, and that's crazy. So the amount of damage potential of these guys in the right situation is really high. And it also does it against enemy heroes as well. If an enemy hero walks up to the units and you get an accurate, a volley of muskets off, they're dead. They'll die instantly because of the amount of damage these guys do. They obviously don't have a tremendous amount in the way of defensive stats. Piercing distance 340. They're pretty vulnerable to enemy archers, but they're not super weak. They have 3,500 hit points. I have thrown a life doctrine on with them as well. So they do hold up a little bit. They're not going to get one hit by an arrow volley, but they're not going to do particularly well. They're certainly nothing like the tercios in terms of that resistance. They're not a tough unit. And in case anyone's wondering, this is the Janissary unit attire, which I thought kind of seemed pretty suitable to the to the musket unit. So I thought it kind of went on quite nicely. Obviously, doctrine-wise, I'm running piercing damage, piercing armor penetration. I mean, not as if they're exactly short on damage and armor penetration, but every little helps, as it were. So I thought I'd put that on. Of course, the health, and I just had a lot of them, so I put increase to hero damage. A pretty pointless doctrine to put on a unit which is already going to do so much damage to enemy heroes. Not really adding all that much, to be honest, but still kind of thought it might be worthwhile. Unit kit cost is really quite reasonable, I think. 2,700 for a heroic gear unit. I don't know, that's pretty good in my opinion. But they're really not too expensive to run, I don't find. And I also find, I don't know if this is just the way my luck's panned out, I seem to get quite a lot of them from crates and stuff when I'm doing like thief quests. So I find that they tend to be a unit that I don't spend all that much on maintaining. So yeah, that's really all I've got to say about them so far. I think we'll hop into some gameplay. They're a really nice unit. They can be quite hard to use because they don't arc in the way of archers do and stuff like that. So they kind of, you have to get them on the flat in nice terrain. They're not got particularly long range. They've got a range of 60. They do hit beyond that, but they're already a fairly inaccurate unit, these Imperials. So once you start to get too much further beyond that, the accuracy kind of takes out a bit of a nosedive. But anyway, let's hop into some gameplay and kind of see how we've been getting on with these guys. So for the first clip, we're actually going to be an example of some pretty terrible gameplay of me being a bit of an idiot, which actually is so often the case in most of my videos, but it actually kind of has an interesting ending. So we just lost the B point, and I noticed we're losing D. It's really quite hard to deploy these muskets well for the D point, I find, because the enemy so often dominates the walls, and it's kind of hard to shoot up a wall, so it doesn't really work. You see, I tried to slip some shots through that little gap in the wall, didn't really pan out for me. I blast some shots into the back of some serfs. I mean, why not? Shooting at serfs is always fun. But the enemy started to come through. I'm starting to get hit by explosive arrows and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh dear, this isn't so good. Let's pull back up onto the top and we'll shoot down. And all of a sudden, there's really no one else here, and squires are coming. And I'm thinking, oh crap, now what am I going to do? I'm running up here. I actually spotted that unit of archers, these black dragon archers, and to be honest, I am sacrificing them here. I'm pulling back because I know those serfs are going to engage those black dragon archers first, and then I can try and volley fire into them. So basically that's what I do, and we set off. And so I'm in a really bad situation here. I think I'm dead, and I'm just going to try and get some damage in before I die. And this shows the strength of these muskets. So the squires charge. I'm doing everything I can to try and interrupt that charge as much as possible and delay the enemy. Then we get test regs charging as well. But, the damage potential of these muskets in volley, you see a lot of them are getting taken out before these enemies even get here. And then we managed to take out the enemy hero, and we just finish off the rest of those units. Yes, we did lose a chunk of the unit, but considering in mind how badly I was playing there, I managed to get stunned a little bit here. I managed to lock this guy down, and then you can see the continual damage from the muskets is enough to kill him off. So we managed to kill 2 enemy heroes, a unit of squires, and a unit of test regs, and gained sort of around 50 kills. For just over half the unit was lost. It wasn't good gameplay from my point of view. I played pretty terribly, I shouldn't have got myself caught in that sort of position. I should have been much more situationally aware. But it does show how strong these muskets can be in that sort of situation. The fact that 2 melee units couldn't kill me when I was volleying firing. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? So I don't know what this archer was thinking, but yeah, pretty crazy that seems to be the case. So anyway, let's go on to the next clip. So for this clip, I was kind of on White Elk Siege on this fort map, and you can see here kind of the inaccuracy of these muskets. I was trying to blast at these guys on the stairs, and you see, I'm just too far away really. I can't really hit anything. We actually get an initial kill, but you can see from the damage hits, mostly it's just throwing it into the stone and the rock. I can't really hit them very easily. And that's kind of one of the limitations of these guys, particularly at range, compared to something like the Tercios, which is a bit more accurate. But then I saw there's actually a ton of stuff on the A point, and I really wanted to get back to try and help. So I'm rushing the unit over. As soon as they get in position, I stick them straight into volley fire mode. And this is just kind of where they excel, these large-scale fights, these last stand sort of moments where they can just fire into a huge group of enemies. And they can sort of hit every time. And you can see the hits we're getting, and the damage we're getting on these hits is really, really high. And the kills just slowly start to rack up. And even where we're not getting kills, we're causing really significant amount of damage to enemy units. As guys try and advance on our units, we're managing to cut them down. I think in a minute we even get a unit of enemy Reapers try and attack, and you'll see that they actually really take a ton of damage really quickly, these Reapers. Full health Reapers, and as they come up against the muskets, they just take a huge chunk of damage and actually really just get cut down, and then friendly units turn up and sort of help the push. And I really think in this situation, these muskets really helped defending the cap point, because they really just apply that damage so consistently and such a high amount of damage to enemy units. Fortunately, kind of there at the end, then the enemy archers manage to get set up into position, and they really start to apply the damage to me. It's hard for me to return fire in that sort of situation. But I think the muskets really did the job in that situation. They applied a ton of unit damage to the enemy units, and they really stopped the push on the A point, which helped us to go on to kind of win that game. And I think that's where the muskets really seem to excel in those sort of pitched fights. I mean, and again, Reapers. They're super effective against Reapers. What other units can do that much damage in such a short period of time against Iron Reapers? A full 350 leadership unit, and one of the hardest things to kill currently. So one tip I can really give you with these muskets is it's really important to micro them, particularly with the focus fire ability. If you want them to snap fire or fire quickly, you have to press 1 and direct their fire. Like you're saying, in this situation, I accidentally ran into a few pikes, realised what I'd done, pressed 1, focus fire, they stop, aim, fire. If you just press V and tell them to attack, they spend 5, 6, 7 seconds aiming before they fire. It's so critical to aim that fire if you want to snap fire, because it makes such a difference to the speed they fire. So again, a very similar situation I find they excel in. You know, in the support role, we've got friendly shields up, and we're just firing, we're throwing lead straight into the front of these basically units. And you see the kills and the damage just rack up super quickly. Particularly once the shield wall goes down and we start to throw the lead, you know, into the archers and stuff behind. So you just kill, everything just dies in the path, because the damage they hit for is just so high. They'll one-shot the archers. I'm not sure they'll necessarily hit the muskets behind, but the damage they do is just really intense. And, you know, they build up so much damage so quickly. And they assist in pushes like this, so that's why I think they work really well. So I start to push up again. Again, you'll see I sort of always using the focus fire ability to kind of get them to aim. You know, thinking, right, let's get them to shoot over there. Volley fire, boom, rounds off. That's where the shield block break might be more useful, so when I get these guys elited, hopefully I'll be able to do more damage against the shields in that sort of situation. But with their lineup, and I just get them to volley down this line, and you see, look at the amount of stuff they hit. Look at the hit markers we're getting, the amount of damage we're getting as they fire down this line. The kills, they just rack up so quickly. And that really sums up my opinion of these units. Really quite a nice unit, really high damage potential, you know, a really high DPS unit that works really well in most situations. They are vulnerable to enemy archers, and the fact you can't arc shots and things like that kind of limits their ability to apply damage quite a bit in certain situations. So they do need, you know, those narrow corridors or, you know, a bit of open ground where they can sort of apply that damage, and preferably at fairly close range. But the damage potential is really high, the armor penetration is really nice, and there's nothing more satisfying than when you get to take out like a stack of Iron Reapers, and you just get to sit there and volley fire and throw round after round at them and just watch them fall. Because you know you're just doing so much damage to the enemy team. I think that's what makes them a really effective unit. So yeah, I'd certainly recommend Imperial Muskets. Really nice unit. Definitely going to keep playing them as I go forwards and try and get these guys elited. See what that bullet block break. Well, that's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? See what difference that makes to their abilities. If that makes a really significant difference, maybe we'll be back with a second video. If it's just kind of a bit of a stamina drain, then it's probably not going to make a tremendous impact then. It might be a while before we're back with these guys. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Of course, subscribe to the channel for a load more Conqueror's Blade content, and I shall see you guys all on the next video.